During my African American leadership class at Springfield High School, every semester I do an experiment where I take the world history textbook that we use at our school and I grab the pages and I randomly turn it and stop and I just open it to the students. I don't even look at it. I just open it and I say, what do you see? I do it again. I'll usually do it 3, 4, 5 times. And at about a 90%, if not higher, there's been times where I've done it with 100% consistency, the page lands on some sort of typically white European man. And I ask, I'm like, what does that communicate? If this is a world history book, world history is essentially the history of European white men. And those folks, when they don't see themselves included in the history, what does that say about their importance? What does that say about their possibilities?
You know, whenever I get to teach in Rites of Passage, I'm teaching what I was raised to know. And it was a defense against a world that basically said you're worthless. And so I had to maintain that worth. So if you don't get that in school, then the best that you can aspire to is what the Columbus Discovered America curriculum says that you can aspire to. That is, you're a descendant of slaves, you're lucky to be here, America civilized you, and America, the best that you can aspire to is what America says that you can be.
We don't ever read about black people. That's the truth. They should rename the history courses we take to white history, because it's not, if we were going to learn world history, we wouldn't just learn about white people. There's black people in history, there's Asian people, there's all these types of people, and I feel like we just focus on one group instead of looking at the bigger picture.
Do you see black people represented in what you learn at school?
No, I don't see it at all. Like, the only time I see it is when they're talking about slaves and stuff.
Slavery.
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 Slavery. Just slavery.
Really the only time is like during Black History Month, you like learn about, like sometimes it's like 1 or 2 people.
You only learn about a few of our big names.
The only time in my social study class, the only time we learned about black people was Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks.
And that's pretty much all we learn in my school.
It's slavery, it's jazz, it's the blues, it's some other kind of entertainment or sports venue. It's not about science, although we've been there in science for years. It's not about, the ultimate history of our people and our cultures and the world and how all of those things are intertwined.
I was with a 6th grade student and I brought up Jackie Robinson and he looked perplexed. He didn't know who Jackie Robinson was. So therefore, he's not getting the history of people of color, particularly African American people. So if he doesn't know a figure like Jackie Robinson, he's not gonna know a Sojourner Truth or a Harriet Tubman.
Be able to name, say, black astronauts, black lawyers, attorneys, black civil rights figures, black doctors, not just entertainment and sports figures, but entertainment and sports figures who are activists in their community.
When these kids start learning, they don't see themselves in history. They don't see themselves in the present unless it's in relationship to Barack Obama or Martin Luther King Jr. And they don't see the depth and the breadth of the contributions that African Americans and African culture has made to the world.
Whether it's here, whether it's in the local school districts, people are getting a kind of skewed version of what the world is, and not getting the competencies that you have to possess to essentially operate in a multicultural world.
One thing that's really incredible that Springfield School District has done was they'd allowed us to implement a Rites of Passage class, an African American leadership class, as a part of the curriculum at Springfield High School. in all the classes that we've had so far, it's been African Americans, it's been Asians, it's been Hispanics, it's been white folks. It's a completely diverse class.
And you could see that hunger and that desire of students of color and non-students of color wanting to know more about African American history and literature, more about social justice, so they can get out in the community and say, hey, the way that you're treating me is not right.
And it's so interesting how some of the feedback we get, especially from the white students, is how much it's impacted them to be a minority in the class, to look around and most of the people in the class don't look like them. And all of a sudden they get that light bulb like, oh, that's what you all go through every day. It's a completely culturally rich experience that everybody is so thankful for being able to go deeper into a rich history, a complex history, a messy history. And they feel really appreciative of having that opportunity and to be able to get that knowledge.